Hello and welcome to the Handicapable Black Woman Throne Room. My view of humanity is a whole new tea. And I decided, I'm always going to change things up because it's my channel, only have one life, and my mind keeps circling around so many things. But the last several episodes really made me think about what I have learned during this new administration already, and it hasn't even been a month, and that's the scary part. It feels like it's been 3 years, but it's only been 3 weeks. Oh, but with the national anthem, it proves how ignorant, racist, poorly educated a lot of our country is. And then with dating and or talking to people who say they want to be friends, and this might be another episode or topic that I go in full, but men, people, because I've only dated men. I mean, so far you never know, but so I only know the men that do this. So be honest on your profile. And I'm not even talking about the catfish. But there are so many men who, before they kept saying, they would call me the R word and stupid, idiotic. And some men would be like, why do politics matter? That's dumb of you to care. You should just marry a man that would want to marry you or be interested in you. And I've just, the degrading, awful, sexist, stupid, uneducated, just, disgusting. Anyway, it's just interesting how a lot of conservative men, they don't read and they don't look at what I have in my profile because I make sure as much as possible that they know that I will never ever date any, like, no, 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 no. And even in my past, like, some people think that this is just a new thing for all women. Not for me. There was some times where when men said they were moderate, I thought, okay, so they're somewhere in the middle. So I know I'm gonna have to ask a lot of questions, but mm-mm. For the most part, I don't date moderates either. No, because a lot of moderates will lie. And from what I've noticed, looking when I see moderates, I look at their pictures even more closely. And I'm like, yeah, they're more Republican than they think. And so I keep going. So, or even years ago before I dated Mr. No Heart, and when I would like run across a moderate and we would start talking and they would start saying some racist things. Do you know how many white men, Caucasian men, European American men would have the nerve to tell me black people just aren't that smart in different ways, but each one, so many of them. But the funny part was normally, like, most of them didn't even have a degree or a trade or a certification. And they would say this to me either while I was working on, like, I had my bachelor's already, but either while I was working on my first master's. And it was really crazy because while being a promotional model, like, a lot of the men that I worked with were even hoping that I didn't finish, or they'd laugh. They're like, "Oh, it's like a pretty girl. Oh, you think you're going to finish that? Oh." But then on LinkedIn, when they found out that I did, and then when they found out that I got another, because one of them had the nerve to write me, an MBA is a master's, so why do you have MA and MBA? It's like, and they were trying to give me like manly advice or whatever. And so when I had to literally explain to them, well, my first master's is not an MBA, so that's the MA, and then my MBA is a separate one after I got the MBA. So, MA, comma, MBA. You got a second one? You're smart enough to do that? Oh. But people blame me for never being married. A lot of people blame me for not settling. And I was settling with Mr. No Heart. I was trying to settle with Mr. Lakaki until I realized once I finished my second master's and once I realized all of the goals I had, and that after 5 years, this man still could not stay clean for 3 months at least, and that he kept threatening to punch holes in the wall in order for me to either go out with him instead of studying or to hang out with his friends or to it's like those are two different things for different reasons or to even go grocery shopping because he never had any money, so he needed my money, but he felt bad, so he said he needed me to be there because yeah, this man owes me so much money. But then when I was trying to get the money back, I know some of you guys already know the story, but yeah. But a lot of these men out here, they get mad at me for learning and growing politically or within my passions. They are disgusted with me because, like, a lot of them tell me that I am only supposed to want babies. That is what my job is, that is what my focus is. But then, like with the dating profiles that I've noticed, a lot of men are lying about their political stance. And then a lot of men who already have kids, they don't want any more kids. I've always wanted kids, but I've never met a man with quality DNA that later in life I for Mr. No Heart, I know I would have been saying like I love my child, but I can't believe I actually multiplied with this idiot. And I would have been ashamed because I know behind closed doors he would have called her a mistake too. And that's because he called his other two mistakes at least 12 times. At least eight, well, between 8 to 12 times at least. I know. Because he said this to my face. And he kept telling me I better not have children. Threatened to leave me if I tried to have children. After years of him saying he was okay with me adopting. And so politically, it's just disgusting how a lot of men keep putting the blame on Democrats right now. A lot of men are putting the blame on women right now. But then I keep bumping into men who did not vote, keep bumping into men who are Republican or moderates, but they're placing the blame on the women, especially black women who went out there, the black women who we have lived our lives through racism and sexism and myself ableism. So I know how this country can be. I have seen the ugly side in so many different aspects: employment, friendships, so called friendships, relationships, family, mental, health wise. Yeah, the mental and the health are two different, but I have seen how awful this country can be. And half of this country voted for the ugly, nasty, awful side that hates everything about me. And for years, men kept writing me, telling me I was stupid, calling me the R word, because I cared about politics, because I cared about humanity, because I'm not just going to bear children and be like, okay, guys, I'm not going to vote. I'm going to depend on you. Even though my ancestors fought for Black people to be able to vote, even though our country fought for women to be able to vote, I'm just going to sit right here and hope for the best. No, I'm not stupid. I'm educated, highly educated, and I continue to be educated, which makes me go to, and I'm going to go back to that subject in a full episode, but just some of the things that I've learned, because especially with the rich, like the Republicans keep praising and worshiping the rich people and then just giving them so much credit. But then the rich don't want to pay the people that are making them rich. They don't want people to be able to live off of that one job. Because if everyone could just live off of one job, our country would be better. And I don't know. And the fact that when the orange guy was at McDonald's playing house, whatever, it's like a reporter asked him straight to his face, are you going to lift minimum wage? And I've talked about this in other videos, so go watch it. But yeah, or look it up, whatever. But yeah, you know what he said, and it's crazy also because the students that I teach, Generation Z, who I will never forget the student. It's like some students like, oh, she's never gonna forget me. No, and it's a bad thing. I have a list of students who I cherish and I will always remember. And sometimes I still email them and message them just to see, how are you doing? Do you need anything? It's like, do you need any assistance like with networking or anything like that? How can I help you? But then there's others who part of me is just like, one day you are probably going to be on America's Most Wanted list. Yes, you are. Or one day I'm probably going to need a restraining order from you. And one example is going to be with this episode, because what Kanye West did over the last and people keep wanting to say Elon Musk did not do that. So but how come so many people that circle around the orange guy are either doing Nazi salutes or what appears to be Nazi salutes, or they are literally saying they are part of that organization, or they are literally getting rehired after saying and proving how racist and bigoted they are. But bigotry is a job requirement within the orange guy's, his little, circle or whatever, if you have not noticed. And then also segregation has started. And I can go on, but because listen to his past and what he said about the Hispanic community. And that's one reason that shocks me. It's like if you watch my last River of Racism episode, it's like if you only knew how many Hispanics and dating apps, that they would see that I will not date any Republican MAGA orange loving guys. And then they write me saying, well, give me a chance, talk to me, I'm Republican, but now I was like, and I find it funny where some of these men, they would write me every 2 months, because like once someone writes you and they write you again, they can't write unless I reply to them. They cannot write me for like 60 to 90 days, depending on the app or whatever. Because yeah, Meet Me, Scout, and Plenty, like they have different rules or whatever. And I think that the apps just revamped themselves or turned it around, so now they can't write me. But like they didn't do this until like 2 weeks ago. But it was really crazy because like late November until the revamp or whatever, I hardly heard anything. Like the only messages I heard from idiotic, poorly educated, ignorant fools, I posted them on Patreon already. And the one of the guys, he wrote me twice. And I think it was like it might have been under two profiles because I'm like, how did he write me twice? Because but yeah, it's like I think actually yeah, I think they were two profiles because the pictures were different now that I'm thinking about it. But same guy though. Same guys in all of the pictures. But I don't know, it's just how come black women can see some of these things and you like with the voting numbers you could tell a lot we see America so differently. And a lot of black women, we know our history. We understand our history. We know the struggle that allowed us to be able to get our education and to have our freedom to vote, have our freedoms, period. Be able to drink out of like a water fountain that's not labeled even. And to be able to work jobs that were not just of the help. We understand how the ugly side of America. We scrape away the whitewashing that they try to brainwash us with. And there's part of the church lessons that some bishops and pastors try to brainwash into our heads that try to make us think that we should just allow this. We should just, be okay with this. Some of you know what I'm talking about. But even back to Kanye. Do you know how many students, or there was one semester with one student I will never, like, because this one student for the final exam, he did not do a thing. He was a lazy nightmare throughout the entire semester. Yes, I said it, I don't care, because he was lazy. So lazy, he did not do a thing for the final. It was a group final. But when he found out that the students were all going to grade themselves, and because I said this since the beginning of the semester, but some students don't think I mean what I say. But it's like the students fill out and they say who did what parts, and it's like that. Yeah, even though it's a group project, I have had to face, like when I went to college, I've told the stories before how I've had group projects and I literally had to do the entire projects while having to do other study for other finals or midterms and stuff. But then at the end of the day, I either got A minus, B plus, or whatever. And then that person who did absolutely nothing, even though I would go to the professor and tell them they're not doing anything. And the professor is the one that assigned the groups. And they were like, well, don't do it then. See what happens then. I don't want to fail the class. So that's one reason why I'm just like, nah, mm-mm. This student threatened to beat up because he was like, oh, I know how to look up where you live. And he threatened and like, if the group members snitched on him, he was going to hunt them down and beat them up. But this is the student who like somehow like we were talking about the prices of clothing and products, like comparing like the most expensive apple in the world with the grocery store apple and things like that. But then we got to like some clothing and someone mentioned Kanye West clothing brand and his ugly shoes and stuff like that. And in my opinion, those are ugly shoes, just ugly. It's like kind of like one of the like a peacock pooped out the shoe. That's what yeah. But anyway, but the same student who threatened everyone else in his group had the nerve to say, Kanye is a brilliant man, and no one had better ever. Like, no, I didn't say that. My student said that. Ugh. No. Never. Ew. Ugh. Ugh. Anyway, we should listen to him more. We don't appreciate brilliance. this is the kind of stuff he was saying. And he went on and on. And I was kind of sitting back like, okay, what other idiotic things you want to say? Because this is one of the only days in the class he decided to participate. He might say a joke. And that's like the only time he decided to raise his hand is when he wanted to say a joke that was off topic. And I remember there was one young lady in the class who had such a big crush on him. He told her his grade, and then she tried to threaten me too, and she tried to tell me off. Little girl, little girl, little girl. And I was like, if this is your type, if these are the type of men you want to date, I don't need to punish you. Well, I mean, because like the way she tried to threaten me, I could have went to security and she could have been suspended. Yeah, because the letter what she wrote in that letter with what she was going to, and part of me is just like, mm. With the groups, everyone always talks like especially that group, they talk and like the men brag all the time. This poor thing did not know that this guy had 3 or 4 girlfriends. 3 or 4 girlfriends, and he was bragging about like because his group members would even tell me. And one of the group members was just like, if I can find out, because this was after class, a student had a question, but then he was like, can I ask you a personal question? And I'm like, uh-oh, how personal? And he was like, I'm sorry, but then it's like, he was like, I promise it's not. And so he told me about the group member and the 3 girlfriends and everything, and he was just like, that's wrong, that's awful. And it's like, and he was even bringing up if he like the possibility of him passing around diseases. And I'm like, oh wow, he really thought about all this. I was impressed by him. I'm like, okay, okay. But I don't know, I'm just, when it comes to a lot of the men out here, and yeah, there's so many other things I could talk about, but I'll save that for another, and or I'll separate them into different segments, because so many men are upset with me or blame me for being single. And so many men think I'm stupid for talking about politics and caring about people around me. And like, even with LGBTQ, like some of the Christian liberals are upset with me because they were just like, it's okay to be a liberal about everything else, but it's like, don't help out the people that are going to hell. And it's just like, you know what? No, we don't. And I just saw a video about Oprah Winfrey. She just like, I already like, I mean, other than her like inducting Dr. Oz and Dr. Phil, because I don't know, I still question that stuff because I'm just like, you literally had some of the worst, like, in my opinion, this is all in my opinion, some of the worst narcissistic, racist, bigoted, self centered men in America. You gave them jobs that allowed all of America to see them and to get like to a point where it's kind of like very similar to the orange guy right now. But then I saw a video about her and what she thinks about the LGBTQ, and how she was even like, there was a Christian woman even pretending she was about to cry or whatever because she was just like, you are helping people to go to hell. And we're like, girl, bye, sit down, whatever. But even with, oh, and it's really funny when some of these men who are against LGBTQ, and they're especially the Christian men, but then they tell me that they want to be in a relationship where we invite another woman into the relationship. Isn't that part of LGBTQ? And also in the Bible, like, if you're so religious, isn't it supposed to be only one wife, one husband? Or isn't that going to be kind of adultery in a way? Like, come on now. It's like, mean what you say in your profiles and mean what you say with your politics. Because if you only want politics that fit you, You're selfish, you're narcissistic, you're awful, demeaning, despicable. Okay. Okay. And this is that part only hurt if I'm talking about you. Okay. Good times. Good times. But yeah, I'm going to do more of these talks because, especially when it comes to dating profiles, when it comes to the, dating profiles with combination of what's going on right now, like, I don't, I'm not saying I'm always right because I learn every day. And over time, sometimes, like, I was trapped within the church society for years. And I started questioning things while in church. But then sometimes when I would question things and my mother noticed I was questioning things, oh, yeah, she was not for, yeah. So, but anyway, I'm going to have more of these random talks. And you guys already know I talk for a while. So I hope you had a snack, a drink, or whatever. But yeah, the whole thing with Kanye and his wife, and then what he posted, I'm like, if you still want to follow him, if you still want to say he's a genius, oh, you better not be my friend. Like, cause yeah, you wouldn't be my friend if you try to call me your friend. Nah, thou shall not lie. Nah, no. But thank you so much for listening to the Handicapable Black Woman. I am a woman, I am of color, and I am handicapable. But most importantly, I am human and you're human too. And that last part, that's who I vote for. I vote for what's going to be best for all of humanity and what is going to fight against the hate groups and the people who despise other humanity or other humans' demographic just because they don't fit into their cookie cutter aspect of what makes a great person. Because right now in our politics, they only want decent white men. They said it out loud. They only want decent white men. So if you don't pay attention, if you don't listen to black women, that if you don't understand the struggle that we have had to go through all of our lives, if you've been ignoring us, maybe it's time to pay attention. If you thought we were lying all these years, maybe it's time to realize that your ignorance were clogging your ears. Okay, bye. Oh, and I won't at this point yet. If I haven't lost you, please like, comment, and subscribe. Comment below. And if you have nothing to say, at least leave welcome my LGBTQ a rainbow to give them hope, to show love and support, and that even though parts of this country is trying to dismiss them, no, there's still the heart of this country that still loves and adores, and we appreciate their bravery with loving the way they want to love, loving the way they were born to love. So, bye.